Australia is globally notorious for loud, aggressive muscle cars that rattle your fillings at idle with big badges and absurd body kits. But that's only half the story. Buried in our motoring history are weapons disguised as taxis, fleet vehicles, and rolling retirement homes. These are cars that broadcasted zero threat to the outside world, yet hid catastrophic firepower for anyone foolish enough to underestimate them. Welcome to the 15 greatest Australian sleeper cars ever built. At first glance, the Berliner is pure background traffic, a mid-tier sedan built for comfort, not attention. It possesses a beige personality and soft suspension, projecting exactly zero visual clues that anything exciting is happening. It's the kind of car you assume belongs to a manager who never breaks the speed limit. But that assumption falls apart the moment you look under the bonnet. Holden quietly stuffed their legendary 5.7-liter LS1 V8 into select models, cranking out up to 250 kilowatts. There are no SS badges or aggressive body kits, just a plush executive sedan packing serious performance hardware. You'd dismiss it completely, right until it disappears ahead with effortless V8 authority. And believe it or not, this is just the appetizer. Wait until you see the tragic-looking Ford coming up next that made critics literally weep. The BA Falcon's styling was a hilariously documented catastrophe, featuring a face that reportedly made Ford executives cry into their quarterly financial reports. The press savaged it, and the public practically laughed it off the roads. But here is the brilliant secret almost nobody talks about. By the Series 3 update, Ford had quietly fixed the suspension, dialed in the refinement, and secretly offered a thumping 5.0-liter Windsor V8. Producing a respectable 175 kilowatts, this Fairmont variant was hiding inside a car the entire country had already written off. That hideous reputation became its ultimate camouflage. While everyone was mocking its waterfall grille, Fairmont V8 owners were making those exact critics look ridiculous from the outside lane. The VQ Statesman was a majestic land yacht, engineered specifically for cautious dentists and comfortably retired bank managers. Draped in heavy chrome and riding on lace-style alloys, hijacked from a 1987 wedding limo, it projected an aura of absolute aggressive gentleness. You'd honestly expect this car to offer you a butterscotch mint rather than a street fight. But in a moment of pure madness, Holden fitted this rolling retirement village with their legendary 5.0-liter V8. They also introduced independent rear suspension, meaning this enormous, heavily cushioned barge could actually attack corners with genuine composure. It buried the speedometer in dignified, velvet-gloved silence with absolutely zero warning. If you think a speedy grandpa is impressive, stay tuned. We haven't even reached the terrifying vehicles that Australian police specifically ordered just to ruin your afternoon. Everything about the BF Fairmont Ghia practically screamed immaculate upper-middle-class restraint, with tasteful chrome trim, fake wood grain, and thick leather the exact color of quiet, responsible adulthood. This was a vehicle for people who considered rapid acceleration a mild social faux pas. It was so deeply committed to discretion, it practically arrived with its own public library card. Then, Ford gloriously betrayed that sensible ethos by dropping a monstrous 5.4-liter V8 under the bonnet. Paired with ZF's brilliant 6-speed automatic, the Fairmont Ghia transformed into a flawless, whisper-quiet missile. It completely demolished highway speed limits without disturbing a single gray hair on the driver's head. It overtook you so smoothly and politely, you almost felt honored. By 1979, the Valiant had a terminal image problem heavily associated with stubborn traditionalists playing Sunday afternoon bingo. The CM Regal trim leaned incredibly hard into this granddad perception, packing thick luxury touches that radiated an absolute zero sense of urgency. But what nobody bothered to tell the arrogant guys revving next to it was the secret lurking underneath. An optional 318 cubic inch, 5.2 liter V8 equipped with electronic lean burn. This massive engine produced effortless, thunderous torque that turned every single traffic light encounter into an instant, brutal education. Line up next to one assuming an easy victory, and you would regret it comprehensively. Dismiss this velvet-draped barge at your own peril. Speaking of velvet, stick around, because we're about to uncover a premium Holden that secretly packed an absolute earth-shattering powerhouse. This sleeper wore its premium credentials with an understated, almost offensively composed level of confidence. There were no wild body kits or aggressive spoilers, just clean lines, tasteful alloys, and a cabin that genuinely smelled like corporate success. From the outside, it communicated one deeply boring message: sensible people making sensible financial choices. But Holden was lying through its teeth. Beneath that business-like exterior lived the thunderous 6.0-liter L98 V8, the exact same earth-shattering engine powering the heavily spoilered Commodore SS. We are talking about 270 kilowatts of barely restrained fury wrapped tightly in climate-controlled silence. The Calais V was simply the SS's smarter, quieter, and considerably more dangerous older sibling. If you are enjoying watching this video so far, make sure to like and subscribe if you want. It means a lot to me. Ford Australia maintained a legendary tradition of completely irresponsible engineering, finding the most aggressively ordinary family car, then stuffing the largest possible engine underneath. On the outside, the TE and TF Cortina was a picture of total innocence, a sensible family hauler projecting zero threat to anyone. However, shoehorned underneath sat the massive 250 cubic inch 4.1 liter Falcon inline 6. This engine had absolutely no business living inside a car this small. The torque delivery was brutally immediate, the power was relentless, and the panicked expression on the face of anyone expecting an easy victory at the lights was genuinely priceless. The Cortina was rolling proof that real danger rarely bothers to announce itself. But if you think that's wild, wait until you see the boring grocery getter at number 8 that absolutely destroyed expensive sports cars off the line. For most of its existence, the Mitsubishi Magna was the dictionary definition of safe, sensible, and utterly tragic commuting. It was the chariot of driving instructors and people who valued getting to the supermarket over experiencing any actual joy. By the early 2000s, its reputation was so devastatingly mild that the car was practically invisible. But in a rare, chaotic moment of engineering curiosity, Mitsubishi blessed the Magna with an all-wheel drive variant between 2003 and 2004 that completely altered its DNA. Under the bonnet sat a punchy 3.5-liter V6 producing roughly 154 kilowatts, paired with a sophisticated local traction system. With no turbo or rally badge, it worked flawlessly as a sleeper. In wet conditions, that all-wheel drive grip gave this boring grocery getter real-world launch traction that caught far more expensive sports cars completely off guard. The VN Executive was so deeply and deliberately unremarkable that the Australian Federal Police quietly ordered thousands of them, which tells you absolutely everything about its lethal potential. It arrived in sterile fleet white, sporting cheap plastic hubcaps that communicated absolutely nothing. It was designed to blend seamlessly into peak hour traffic like a mid-level government department processing tax forms. But then Holden dropped a fuel-injected 5.0-liter V8 producing 165 kilowatts into a chassis weighing barely 1,300 kilograms. The result was an instant Australian legend, the original apex predator operating in plain clothes. Unmarked and catastrophically fast, it never threatened you with a body kit. It simply appeared in your rearview mirror and quietly, permanently ruined your entire afternoon. Still to come, a rental car so stealthy, the disguise itself was the actual weapon. The BA Falcon XT existed at the depressing bedrock of the Falcon range as the ultimate rental or company pool car. Fleet managers adored it because it was incredibly cheap, but absolutely nobody considered it a threat to anything on the road. That complete lack of respect made it the most immaculate disguise Ford ever created. They offered a secret factory option almost nobody knew existed. You could order the base model XT in full rental car specification, but hide a thunderous 5.4-liter V8 underneath. Nothing on the exterior confirmed the violence within except a tiny fender badge the first owner almost certainly peeled off immediately. Wearing completely standard alloys, it was a wolf so thoroughly committed to its sheep costume that the disguise itself became the weapon. We are just now entering the legendary top 5. If you are up for the game, comment the car you think will take the gold medal. By every measurable definition, the WH Statesman was a gargantuan luxury barge built for dignified, thoroughly unhurried progress. Devoid of muscular haunches, it was genuinely a grandpa car designed so deliberately for pillowy comfort that harboring any racing ambition felt vaguely inappropriate. However, this particular grandpa car was hiding the all-alloy 5.7-liter LS1 V8. This is the exact same foundational architecture that powered American Corvettes. With spectacular audacity, Holden dropped this monster into the most sedate cruiser in their lineup and just refused to elaborate. It didn't need to rev its engine. It simply waited patiently at the lights for an arrogant sports car driver to make the catastrophic, ego-destroying mistake of underestimating it. Toyota's reputation for bulletproof reliability is global legend, but their reputation for excitement is considerably less developed. The Aurion sat at the absolute rock bottom of the range, wearing generic cloth seats and a badge most of Australia confidently confused for a slightly enlarged Camry. And to be fair, that is exactly what it appeared to be, until you pressed the accelerator. Toyota casually decided to fit every single Aurion, including this dirt-cheap base model with a 200-kilowatt 3.5-liter V6, the same unit found in Lotus sports cars. It could blast from 0 to 100 in approximately 7 seconds while looking utterly, almost aggressively boring. Dozens of P-platers in base model V8 Commodores discovered this humiliating fact at traffic lights throughout the mid-2000s. We are down to the top 3. Next up, a completely unassuming French commuter that secretly housed a mythical American racing engine. The Chrysler Centura was essentially a French-designed commuter car slapping on a tough American badge. The GL specification looked absolutely standard and completely unintimidating, featuring sensible colors and the general automotive ambition of a quiet Tuesday morning going to the bakery. But then, Chrysler Australia did something that still feels completely unhinged. They engineered the legendary 4.3-liter Hemi Inline 6, the mythical 265 cubic inch unit, deep into the engine bay of this unassuming commuter. The result was a vehicle that looked like it belonged to a boring accounts manager, but performed like a genuine psychopath. In a straight line, the Centura was shockingly, embarrassingly fast, and absolutely nobody ever saw the ambush coming. The VL Calais Turbo gets all the magazine covers and prestige, but everyone forgets about the genuinely terrifying one, the base model Executive. We are talking about plastic hubcaps, cheap fleet trim, and the absolute bare minimum of everything. But behind closed doors, Holden struck a brilliant deal with Nissan and shoehorned a 3.0-liter turbocharged inline 6 that was notoriously faster than the V8s of its era into a bone-stock fleet car without a single visual performance hint. It could completely obliterate vehicles that cost significantly more, doing it all without effort or drama. The VL Executive Turbo is the purist's ultimate sleeper, offering zero glamour and zero badge prestige. Just a relentless machine built to humiliate the rich kids. And now, the undisputed, undefeated king of the undercover ambush is finally here. The G6E was engineered as a plush luxury replacement for the Fairmont, dripping with chrome grills, soft leather, and tasteful alloys that whispered responsible middle-class motoring. Everything about its exterior suggested the owner had just received a modest corporate promotion and wanted to celebrate sensibly. Yet hiding under the bonnet lived the mythical 4.0-liter Bora 270T inline-six turbo, producing 270 kilowatts of pure, effortless, howling fury. It easily outran dedicated V8s, humiliated European sports cars, and destroyed egos at freeway on-ramps, while occupants sat in climate-controlled, leather-stitched serenity. The G6E Turbo is the ultimate proof that Australia mastered the art of the ambush. Look completely harmless, then absolutely annihilate everything in sight without spilling your coffee. 15 cars, 15 ferocious wolves wearing the absolute most convincing sheep costumes in Australian motoring history. If this countdown had you looking at boring commuter traffic differently, click that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.